2023 was a fantastic year for video games. The incredible variety and diverse range of games really made this list hard to decide on. Looking for a new game to pick up and play? Stick around as I go through my top 2023 picks, which will likely include underrated games that I guarantee you have never heard of before, and the surprising rise of a game genre that flourished in 2023. Number 10, Sea of Stars. Starting off the list is Sea of Stars, RPG-inspired love letter to earlier RPG titles such as Chrono Trigger and Golden Sun. Sea of Stars has snappy and responsive turn-based combat that feels great to play, has a fantastic world to journey through, and overall is a very solid modern RPG. This game doesn't specifically try to reinvent the genre, but rather polish and perfect the traditional RPG game elements of these older titles, resulting in a very enjoyable game overall. One of the notable standout features of the game is the absolutely gorgeous pixel art style direction and the music score. This game sets fantastic ambient tone which is truly in line with its biggest inspirations. This game does truly provide a similar level of immersion to titles such as Chrono Trigger and Golden Sun. Great example of a game taking inspirations from previous titles and upholding that same level of care and love that the original developers did. Number 9, Super Mario RPG. Battling for the number 9 spot is Super Mario RPG, which is the only remake in my list of this year. In a year that was full of a huge amount of remakes, Super Mario RPG stood out as my favourite, offering an extremely polished upgrade of the original title. Super Mario RPG focuses on providing the player with a condensed story which is roughly only around 10 to 12 hours in length, as opposed to certain other RPG series' playtime. Kill me. The story length is a highlight of this title. Within those action-packed 12 hours, you are provided with an extremely memorable experience filled with diverse characters, an incredible dynamic soundtrack remake, and fantastic environments and a surprisingly fun combat system. Of course, this game isn't extremely difficult or long, like typical RPGs, but not every game has to be 100 hours length to be good. Super Mario RPG stands out by providing so much in such a small amount of time. Number 8, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Up next is Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo really went ahead and took Breath of the Wild and cranked up literally every aspect of the game and churned it into overdrive with this title. Seriously, everything was improved in this title. All of my biggest issues with the original Breath of the Wild game were remedied in the sequel. Breath of the Wild didn't have a large variety of enemies and bosses and relied heavily on reskinned repeated enemies. Boom! Tears of the Kingdom says, okay, I got you. We're gonna add in heaps of unique bosses for all of the major story fights, countless new optional bosses and mini bosses, alongside new batches of unique enemies to find and hunt. And what about my other main issue with Breath of the Wild? The exploration can feel a bit tedious after uncovering most of the map. Okay, sure, boom, we've got an answer for that. Fuck you. Here's 2 entirely new maps on top and below the original map, with the underground caverns being one of the most hauntingly beautiful and fun additions to explore. I'll never forget the first experience I had dropping into one of these caves. The complete change of atmosphere and ambience is one of the most immersive experiences I've felt in recent titles. It reminded me a lot of Zelda's darker titles such as Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, which are my favourites. And then, on top of solving the 2 biggest issues I had with the original game, which is all sequels usually do, they went full steam ahead and added in a bizarre crafting mechanic and combining feature which allows you to craft virtually anything you can think of. Plus, there is really no limitation to what you can build with this system. It's amazing. Half of the dungeons I had to think, am I doing this the right way? But it didn't really matter. As long as I was passing it in some way using the materials, I was able to make my own method of completing these levels. It was a really fun addition. Plus, now Link can air dive like in Fortnite. 10 out of 10, Link in Fortnite confirmed. Where are we dropping Ganon? To wrap up my final thoughts of this amazing game, I'll leave you with this surefire way to beat any dungeon guaranteed. Genius. Number 7, Sanabi. Sanabi is a breath of fresh air. Celeste took the world by storm in 2018 with its frantic platforming gameplay. Sanabi is a brilliant extension on these platforming mechanics, going above and beyond to create something completely unique. Having Celeste alone with a grappling hook mechanic is amazing enough, but implementing a fluid, responsive combat system, enemy and boss fights, all within an extremely polished cyberpunk aesthetic, is something completely else. At the start of the game, it takes some adjusting to fully get the hang of the grapple hook and combat combos, but my god, when it clicks, this game becomes one of the most liquid, smooth experiences I've ever felt in a game. It just feels so right and natural. This game also has a fantastic story and the character designs are really well done. If you decide to pick up and play Sanabi, you won't go wrong with this one-of-a-kind experience. Number 6. Cyberpunk 2077. Just joking. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is a spiritual successor of Jet Set Radio. Now, I didn't play the original Jet Set Radio, so I wasn't sure what I was going to get into, and whew, oh boy, I was blown away by this title. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has style, baby. This game is absolutely dripping with originality and charm. The levels, the character designs, and oh boy, the gameplay. The gameplay is so good. Being able to skate around a city environment at super fast speeds while performing combos to tag graffiti onto walls and even use the graffiti to take down bad guys. There's just such an interesting flow to this game. Taking down enemies with a graffiti blast is super fun, and just casually wall riding through the city between missions is so cathartic. Oh, and I haven't mentioned the best part yet, this game's soundtrack. I have never heard and experienced a game soundtrack that is so tailored and embedded into the game's theme and environment. The songs truly match what it feels like you are doing in such a stylish way, providing a unique experience like no other. Definitely consider picking this one up. Number 5. Paranormasight. Paranormasight is what happens when you give a massive developer the keys to provide their unique take on a more niche and less popular genre, a visual novel story game. Square Enix absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one, offering a unique visual novel experience that is polished and presented in a way like no other previous visual novel has been. The atmosphere in this game is extremely dark and gritty, matching the somber tone of the environments and the game's main story. I really like the direction that they took with this game's story. It's like if Ace Attorney just focused on the spiritual themes and aspects of the Ace Attorney story, instead of, well, being a lawyer. Please make Ace Attorney 7 Capcom, we miss it so much. Paranormasight introduces these expansive and grand fully rotating environments, giving the player so much more to explore than typical static image backgrounds. The characters are interesting, the game's theme is surprisingly matured and dark, the soundtrack matches the gritty atmosphere perfectly, and shines a great example of how a unique take on a visual novel can be carried out. I'm excited to see future novels from Square Enix, existing and new developers, with just how unique of a visual novel game this was. Number 4. Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4. Coming into position 4 is Pikmin 4. Oh boy, Pikmin 4, where do I even begin? This game to me was one of those rare games that actually made me look forward to setting time aside to play this game and just enjoy it, which is just such a rare feeling these days. Pikmin 4 is such a simple concept. You get the Pikmin and you hoard the materials back to your ship to unlock and explore new areas in which you hoard materials back to your ship. Got the idea? You can even collect Game Boy Advance consoles as treasures that are ancient relics of the past. Amazing, such a good detail. What makes Pikmin 4 so special is how it masters the fundamentals of making a simple game mechanic fun. The maps aren't massive and expansive like so many games are making the mistake of doing when doing their debut open world experience. Pikmin 4's environments are dense and compact with so much to explore and uncover without having to run 10 minutes to uncover something new. I also just love watching a whole bunch of Pikmin move something as large as a pumpkin. It's hilarious to me. These maps are so amazing. I could do a video alone on Pikmin 4's map design alone, and it's genius how it slowly unveils, revealing shortcuts and secrets on areas that you've sworn you'd already gone through and uncovered everything in. Seeing how the maps slowly unveil and being able to utilize new bridge paths that you constructed and shortcuts that you uncover to save time is one of the most satisfying feelings possible. And this is a game that is already super relaxing already. Well, until you leave a Pikmin behind at night time and this plays. Yeah, wow, I'm traumatized now. Seriously, I thought I was close to finishing the first area and I was only 55% complete. The battle system is engaging and fresh, and the stakes are very high if you lose a lot of Pikmin. There's just so much to explore and uncover, it's amazing. And also, your partner dog, Ochi, is the best assistant dog ever in any game. Just look at him casually deroot a pot 5 times his size. He truly is the best boy. Go get your treat, Ochi, you deserved it. There is so much to love about Pikmin 4, and it's so easy to see the love that the developers put into Pikmin 4, and it's so accessible to just jump in and play. Even if you haven't played previous titles, you can jump straight in and play one of the best games of 2023. Number 3, Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is one of the best examples of trying something completely new, running with that idea, and absolutely perfecting it. Hi-Fi Rush is the first game I've ever seen accomplish such a dynamic and responsive environment that is completely controlled by one similar theme, the game's soundtrack. This game took the concept of a rhythm-based game and slapped it together with a hack and slash to provide one of the most diverse game environments ever made in a video game. Everything in this game is tied to its fantastic soundtrack. Your character's melee combo moves, your character's movement, the enemies you are fighting, and most impressively, the entire world itself. I don't know how to explain it. Having the entire environment and surroundings also move so fluidly with the gameplay just provides a new level of immersion that I've never seen in a title before. In my personal preference, while I do enjoy the style of songs in Bomb Rush Cyberfunk a lot more, the way that Hi-Fi Rush incorporates its music into the environment, enemies, and combat gameplay is on a completely different level. This game is fresh, exciting, and a blast all the way through consistently. As an added bonus on top of that, the style and design of this game is also phenomenal. I get big Persona 5 vibes playing this game, which is always a great thing. The fighting is so smooth and unique, and the game has fantastic boss fights and designs. More games should aspire to challenge video game norms and produce such a high quality, unique genre of video game as seen through every playable minute of Hi-Fi Rush. Number 2. A Space for the Unbound. A Space for the Unbound came out of nowhere and slapped me with such a sense of originality and freshness that I was surprised throughout my whole playthrough. And boy, when I got to the end of this game, well, I was a changed person. This game is absolutely amazing. It is another game that absolutely goes all out perfecting its genre, offering such a fantastic polished experience and unforgettable story. The style of this game is truly fantastic. The landscape and environments are so alive and interactable. It truly feels like you are placed in the town and experience it alongside the character. This game utilizes a pixel art style to another level that I've just never seen before. It feels like a brand new immersive experience. Tie that together with the fantastic story writing and captivating soundtrack, this title achieves a new level of immersion unachievable by most, even AAA title games. You can also pat every cat in this game, so that's already bonus points. The ending of this game is truly breathtaking. It's one of the best in any game I have ever played. There are only so few games that I have ever played that make you reflect on it so much after completing. Nier Automata, Persona 5 Royale, the original Ace Attorney trilogy, Before Your Eyes. This game comfortably delivers a story as impactful as those previous games, which are my favourite titles ever made, and this is easily one of the best story-based games ever made too. Before we unveil my number 1 pick of the year, let's go through some honourable mentions, as all of the picks on today's list are just my personal favourite in order. Honourable mention number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. Whoa, I know, I hear you. Before you unsubscribe, I know how great Baldur's Gate 3 is. It's a game so amazing that it literally made developers of upcoming games not thinking their current game in progress was as polished as this game when it released. The dialogue system is so expansive, it has redefined the definition of in-game dialogue. The world and the characters are extremely flourished with an incredible amount of in-depth lore, and the combat is detailed and expansive. Baldur's Gate 3 deserved to win 2023 Game of the Year, no doubt in my eyes. But for me personally, I wanted to highlight some lesser known games that I enjoyed more. But this was still easily one of the best titles of the last decade, let alone 2023. Slay the Princess. Slay the Princess is another influential visual novel that released in 2023. What stands Slay the Princess apart is its fantastic narration and in-depth dialogue options. This game truly focuses on the novel aspect of the visual novel series. But we can't disregard the visual part, of course. This game features some of the most beautiful and atmospheric hand-drawn art that I've ever seen implemented so well into a video game. The atmosphere and horror of this game is truly phenomenal too. This game has some absolutely bone-chilling moments, which is fantastic. The gameplay is super unique and interesting, forcing you to repeat similar situations multiple times to lead to new outcomes, which is definitely the most decisive part of the game for some. Risk of Rain Returns. Risk of Rain Returns is a roguelike that is absolutely polished and perfected to the max. It stays true to Risk of Rain's signature gameplay of going absolutely chaotic over time with its difficulty over time meter. The longer you live, the more difficult the game becomes. This kind of game will never be tiring in my opinion. It offers such a fast and replayable experience, and this is one of the best entries ever made. Tiny Rogues. Tiny Rogues took me by surprise when I initially came across it. I was expecting a pretty standard roguelike experience, but Tiny Rogues perfects the simple elements of a roguelike, delivering a super high quality experience. especially thanks to the developers who released massive updates that greatly improved the game. Some of my favourite aspects of the game is the simple art style and the boss battles. They are super frantic and fun, reminding me a lot of the shoot 'em up segments of Undertale battles, combined with exploring and finding loot to take down the bosses with your upgraded gear. Super Mario Wonder. Super Mario Wonder is the best 2D Mario platformer that helped breathe new life into a stale, repetitive series. The game is extremely creative and exciting, offering a large variety of wonder effects and combinations. My personal favourite ability is the Metal Mario Wonder stage that plays the original Super Mario 64 Metal Mario theme and allows you to pass by electricity. Great job, this level designer knew exactly what they were doing. Lethal Company. Lethal Company needs no introduction. It took the world by storm in 2023 and it's easy to see why. It is one of those rare games led by a single developer that helps all aspects of the game feel so intertwined and authentic. The horror aspects of the game are genuinely terrifying when you initially start playing, and the proximity chat in the game is one of the funniest in any game ever, leading to some absolutely hilarious moments. And now, let's move right along to my top personal pick of 2023. My favourite game of the year was Your Turn to Die, Death by Majority. I had no idea just what kind of journey I was going to be undertaking when I delved into playing this title. I had been keeping my eyes on this game for a while as it was coined as being similar to Danganronpa and Ace Attorney, two of my favourite game series ever made, but what I was not expecting was for this game to completely overcome its inspirations and stand on its own as one of the best games of the year and as a completely unique game from these other two. So, what makes this game so good? Game of the Year potential? Well, in my opinion, it all comes down to one simple aspect: the character writing. The writing and characters in this game is so phenomenal that they are some of the most memorable and realistic characters that I have ever seen in a video game. The basic premise of the game itself, without many spoilers, is that you are unwillingly forced to play in a death game, in which you need to uncover the truth behind characters' deaths, which in turn can lead to more characters' deaths. As you control the main character, it genuinely feels like you are going through the death game together with how much character interaction and realism there is in this game. The dread and despair in this game is unlike anything I've ever seen in other games. Other titles have themes of despair and like to often say it in their characters' dialogue that they are in despair and pain, but this game shows the characters' true emotions and immense grief and despair without having to spell it out in the dialogue. The trial segments in this title have some of the most tense and suspenseful reveals I have ever experienced in a video game, or even any work of fiction for that matter. The game also adds extra complexity to these segments by giving people roles such as a keymaster and a sacrifice, leading to some of the most fascinating and haunting scenarios in a fictional story I've ever read. Earlier, I mentioned that A Space for the Unbound has a spectacular finale that leaves so much impact on the user. This game made me feel that multiple times throughout the story in its trial segments, before even reaching an ending. I have never experienced a game having such immense immersive storytelling to the point that all of the characters genuinely feel realistic and are incredibly fleshed out. This has got to be one of the only games where the characters that I didn't enjoy the most, I still enjoyed them significantly a lot, as they contributed so much to the story and were memorable and impactful. The decisions you make in this game will impact the entire playthrough, not just bringing up an end screen because you selected a certain answer that was wrong and a special game over screen plays and everything just returns you back to the last save point with no actual impact. This game will make you either really regret and question multiple major decisions throughout the title, for better or for worse. No matter what path you take, you will really be questioning, did I make the right call here? If you've already played the game, you know exactly what I am talking about. The impact of the decisions you make are conveyed so well in the story and embedded into the characters based off of their reactions and their emotions. Your Turn to Die is a fantastic psychological horror visual novel that is sure to leave an impact like no other game has when playing it, and that's why it has my vote for the Game of the Year 2023. Well, there we have it. That was my personal list of my favourite, primarily underrated 2023 games. I tried to pick lesser known games for this list alongside more well-known ones, but the list is genuinely in my order of my favourite 2023 games, in my personal opinion. So if you agree or disagree with any of my picks, be sure to let me know in the comments below. 2023 saw an incredible increase in high-quality visual novel games with Your Turn to Die, A Space for the Unbound, Paranormasight, and Slay the Princess, which is a fantastic indicator for the future of the incredibly underrated genre. Did I miss one of your favourite 2023 games, or think a certain game should have been higher up on the list? Let me know what your favourite 2023 games were in the comments below. If you're looking for more gaming content and enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to see my upcoming game reviews. I also have a list of the top 10 2023 Kairosoft simulation games. Be sure to check out that one if you like simulation games. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.